the book of Daniel, chapter 6, with a word of wisdom from our Father in Jesus' name, verse 1. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. Darius being the king of Persia, the second kingdom from the statue. Remember the statue from chapter 2, first Babylon, then the Medes and the Persians. And over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. It was God with him, is what it was about Daniel, as you know. Verse 4, Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. And you can see within this the work of the Kenites, the sons of Cain, and their hidden dynasty of politics nowadays within this method of operations. Satan was no doubt involved in this plot to kill Daniel. Satan trying to kill one of God's election, as usual. But remember what happened in chapter 3 with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were cast into the fiery furnace and weren't even singed. So God takes care of his own. You don't have anything to worry about or be afraid of. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever, a standard greeting to a king. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. In other words, once something was put into law by the Medes and Persians, it was that way from then on. No one could alter it. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree, not realizing what they were up to. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. And this looks forward to the hour of temptation, whenever Satan appears as the false Christ and he's the one world dictator. It then becomes illegal not to worship him, and God's elect are not going to worship him no matter what happens. They have that seal of God in their forehead, and they're going to know who he is. It's Satan. And that's how they're delivered up, because it's against the law at that time. But there comes a time when the law comes second to God's law, and that time is all the time, yes, but we are to obey civil law. And what I'm saying here is, once it's law to worship Satan, it's time to be an outlaw, is it not? Just as Daniel is doing here, because he's not going to cease from worshiping our Father no matter what happens. He knows who's in control of everything. Verse 12, Then they came near, after they found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. They were spying on him. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree, that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not, can't be changed, according to their law. Then answered they, and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree, that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. You can't help but wonder if these are Kenites here doing this. It seems very characteristic of them. You remember the Kenites, who carry out the negative part of God's plan, conspired to even have Christ crucified. So they're allowed to carry out that negative part of the plan, formulating the one world system even now, which will come into being at the beginning of the hour of temptation, receive a deadly wound, after which Satan will appear as the false Christ, in the midst of the week, which is shortened to 5 months, in the middle, at the 6th trumpet, and after that 5 months the true Christ will return. But now we can see the Kenites formulating the one world system before our very eyes. You'd have to be pretty dense not to have noticed that. Verse 14, Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, as he should be. And there's a lesson within this. If something goes wrong, think about what you did to cause it and allow it and to bring it upon yourself. God doesn't put burdens on people. They put them upon themselves. And accidents happen in this world. We're in a wicked world, yes, of course. But remember whose fault that is. Everything was fine until Satan rebelled. But you have to still take responsibility for your own actions regardless. And here the king is displeased with himself. So he has that much integrity, is plain to see, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. What are you doing trying to change it, O king? Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. You think Daniel's worried about this? Of course not. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. Now see the faith of this Gentile king. Daniel had rubbed off on him, no doubt. Daniel being a man of God. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. This way, those trying to get rid of Daniel couldn't break in there and make sure that he was dead, you see. But with this seal on top of it, nobody could tamper with it. A lot like the seal of God in your forehead. Nobody can tamper with that. Nobody can tell you otherwise once Christ shows you the truth, once he reveals to you his overall plan. Verse 18, Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Couldn't sleep. So not total faith that God would deliver him then, but maybe so. Even if you do know for a fact something's going to happen, you do get a little bit anxious. So that's okay. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste into the den of lions, unto the den of lions rather, not into, not yet. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. See, a little bit of lack of faith here, a lamentable voice. Why is he sad? As though Daniel's dead. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Well, he shouldn't have to ask if he really believed what he said. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. Standard greeting to a king. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Now see within this that locust army, Satan's angels, that are cast out of heaven with Satan at the beginning of the hour of temptation, beginning the 5-month-long hour of temptation, which is also the term of the locust, with the 4 stages of the locust, the gnawer, swarmer, devourer in the first 2.5 months by my calculations, and then the deadly wound. Then Satan appears, and that begins the fourth and final stage of the locust army in the last 2.5 months. But if you read the description of the locust army in Revelation chapter 9, they have teeth like the teeth of lions, okay? But they kill with deception spiritually, not physically. So their teeth spiritually can rip somebody's soul apart if they don't have the seal of God in their forehead, because it's also written concerning that locust army, the fallen angels exclusively, that they are not to hurt those with the seal of God in their forehead. Remember that seal that was over the lion's den, and Daniel wasn't harmed. And in the futurist sense, you can't be harmed by Satan's deception and the deception of his locust army if you know the truth. If you know who they are, then you know not to believe a word that comes out of their lying mouth, because they're a bunch of liars. They're a bunch of demonic angels, okay? Verse 23, Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. I repeat, because he believed in his God. And those with the seal of God in their forehead cannot be harmed by the teeth like the teeth of lions of the locust army. They don't literally have teeth like lions. That's a figure of speech. It means that they're vicious and they will rend someone's soul given the chance. But God's elect can't be deceived. They have the seal of God in their forehead, and that locust army is commanded not to hurt them, but only those men that have not the seal of God in their forehead, and they torment them for 5 months. So that's how you know that it's been shortened from 7 years to 5 months, and that's also how you know you have nothing to be worried about. God is with those who love him, and he'll never leave you nor forsake you. Just stay in his word. Nothing's more important. What do you possibly have better to do than study your Father's word and prepare yourself for that hour of temptation? Verse 24, And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. As it's also written, pretty much the same words in Daniel chapter 2, that stone which smites the statue on the feet, smiting those 10 toes, those 10 horns, the 10 fallen angel kings that get cast out of heaven with Satan at the beginning of the 5 months and reign 1 hour with the beast. That's how we know that we're not in a one world government yet, because it has 10 horns. You have to have that supernatural element of Daniel's 4th beast, which we'll cover in the next chapter. Verse 27 to continue, He delivereth and rescueth. God does, our Father. And he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions, and who will deliver you that love our Father from the power of Satan. Now and during that hour of temptation, Christ gave you power over all your enemies, including Satan and his locust army. In Luke chapter 10, verses 18 and 19. Go read that. If you haven't ever read that, you really need to read that. So after this is over, go read that, okay? Verse 28 to complete the chapter. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian.